What is going on, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and today I'm about to look at the biggest news that came out of New York Comic Con, pretty much the second largest Comic Con that happens every year behind San Diego. Of course, we get the big movie and show announcements at San Diego Comic Con, but at New York Comic Con, you get tons of comic announcements, and we did get a lot of updates on upcoming movies and shows alike, but we're about to dive into it, about to tell you the most important things you need to know and just how big DC absolutely dominated this year. To check out the links in the description to any and all of my videos to find fantastic comic book resources to online retailers, cleaning and pressing services, and ABX Comics and Games, my local comic shop. If you don't have one and you're looking for one, check out ABX. Links down there to their Facebook group. They can be your long-distance comic shop today. They are, in fact, the community comic shop. So there's a lot to get into, so I don't want to take too long. I can get long-winded. I get really excited about this stuff. So let's just dive right in. First and foremost, I know the big thing that a lot of people are most interested, curious, wondering about is James Gunn's DCU. And we got some really cool updates, most notably about none other than Creature Commandos. It'll be releasing December 5th on HBO or Max, or whatever you want to call it. This is the first installment in James Gunn's DCU. It's going to be an animated series. And we got the second trailer for it, which I got to tell you, looked way better than the first. I was fine with the first one. I was happy. The second one actually got me excited. We get more of an idea of the characters, their dynamics, the tone of the show itself. We have like a lot of humor in it, some excessive violence, and I'm excited to get Rick Flag Sr. in here and see how that's going to work out. But I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And the James Gunn panel, most importantly, because of Creature Commandos coming up, he talked on the bigger DCU and covered like a few really good points. He talked about the aesthetics, he talked about the continuity, and he dove into how that's gonna work. And he was talking about how with continuity wise, they're kind of just pushing forward. A lot of people's big question is like, what from the DCEU remains and what is changed? And the way they're going to handle it is just kind of not look back. They're going to just move forward, but if they reference something from the past, that then kind of brings it into canon. Example being Rick Flag Sr. This is the father of the Rick Flag that we had in the previous Suicide Squad movie. So by referencing his death, that kind of brings that piece of canon into continuity. So I like how they're doing that. It's as smooth as you can get it, because this stuff can get really confusing for a general audience. And that's really who you have to think about when you're doing this stuff, more than the comic book heads that we'll figure it out. We'll spend hours online diving into it and figuring out, but I think that's pretty smart. Then aesthetically, I thought this was fantastic because I think this is where like the MCU really went wrong. He said that all of these projects, Creature Commandos, Swamp Thing, Superman, Brave and the Bold, whatever it may be, will have its own creative style, tone, direction, and aesthetics. It will be in a connected, shared universe. These characters can cross over, but there's no reason for all of these films to look like they were made from the same printing press, which is like really what Marvel did after the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. They just hit like, copy and paste, and it didn't do any favors in the long run. So I'm excited to know that a Swamp Thing property would not look like a Superman property, and a Creature Commandos property will not look like, a Batman property. So that's how it should be. That's how the comics are. So I was really excited to get the answers to those things definitively from James Gunn himself. There's some great footage out there of that panel, and I might do another video separately on it, so be sure to check out that. But let's get over to the most exciting thing happening right now in comic books, which is definitely the introduction of DC's Absolute Universe. If you don't know what that is, I posted a whole video about explaining where it comes from, what it is in a nutshell. It's an entire different world in DC Comics universe that's controlled by Darkseid, created by Darkseid, where all these familiar heroes are a little bit different. So the first one up that we did get some really cool updates on is none other than Absolute Superman. Jason Aaron is writing it, and Rafa Sandoval is doing the interiors on it. It's coming in 2 weeks pretty much. And we got our first look at some interior pages. They released the Ash Can at NYCC. And I got to tell you, it looks absolutely fantastic. You get a lot of peacemakers in there that are called peacekeepers. There's a whole Lazarus Corporation. We got some good information, but I don't want to linger on that one. I did an entire video on it this past Monday that you should just go check that out and get some close-ups of that. But over to Batman, the smash hit, moving on to like a third or fourth print already. Phenomenal. Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta crushed this. They actually produced an Ash Can for issue 2. That's how big the hype is on this. But most notably from the Batman news, we did get some interior pages from issue 2, which just looked fantastic. A lot of people were naysaying on this one, but the story, the tone, the style, it all speaks for itself and it all works. But the big thing that we got was the reveal of the absolute Batman Batmobile, if you can even call it that. It's like one of those large scale dump trucks from those big construction sites that's been retrofitted to look like a Batmobile. So it's kind of like they're taking the Frank Miller Dark Knight universe stuff and just kind of blowing it up in an even bigger way, you know, from the squared out symbol to being more square, from the tanked out Batmobile to being even more tanked out. Dude, I got to tell you, like, I'm so excited for this. It's just fun. Like, despite how dark and how like sad and how horrific some of the events in Batman #1 was, I'm just ecstatic to read it. Like, I'm so excited. So, and then of course, Wonder Woman is the other piece of the Trinity, which I kind of missed that due to the hurricane blackout, getting a lot of updates on it, but I do have some videos on that as well. We didn't get any new stuff, but issue #1 dropped this week, so I don't want to get into any content on that, as it's pretty much just, I would end up spoiling something. It was a phenomenal issue. Kelly Thompson absolutely brought her A game. Be sure to pick it up. Check it out. It's already going back to a second print. So the big stuff, we had a list of other titles that will eventually get the absolute treatment. They started rolling some of those out, and they started it with one that I'm very excited for, and that's Absolute Flash issue #1. Jeff Lemire is going to be writing this. Nick Robles will be doing the art, and what's so exciting is it's not Cy Sperrier. Yo, I love the Flash. It's on my monthly pool list, and I don't even look forward to reading it right now because the current run is just such a drag, man. Cy Sperrier is not the guy for the job. We went from Jeremy Adams to Cy Sperrier. It was like just running into a brick wall. So I'm excited to get a Flash comic book. Jeff Lemire is a proven writer. It's going to be interesting to see his take on the character, but we're also dealing with Wally, which also has me excited. I love Barry Allen as much as the next guy, but I was born in the 80s, so I grew up with Wally. Wally's my guy. So I'm excited to know that it's going to be Wally, and it's really cool. We get a little bit of pieces of the art inside to kind of see how this Speed Force, if that's even what it's going to be, will be affecting Wally. We don't really get any pictures of him running, but they did show us that they will be bringing some familiar faces. We got Captain Cold, who looks like a military asset almost more than he does just like a crook. And I'm wondering if the other character on there was Golden Glider. I couldn't make out who the other two were. So who knows? Who knows? I'm excited for it. It was great getting to actually see pages from the inside. And then the other big one was the announcement for Green Lantern. This is going to be unique. Al Ewing is writing this. Janoy Lindsay is doing the illustrations. I don't really know what to make of this one. All I know for certain is Joe Mullen is featured prominently on the front cover. Hal Jordan is on the cover, and John Stewart. So we're getting a book that'll be showcasing all three of those Green Lanterns, and it's supposed to be some kind of horror, cosmic horror tone stuff, which I think works for Green Lantern. Then it's almost like it's shifting it more in the direction of like what the potential Lanterns TV show will be. We know it's supposed to be True Detective-like, which is like the whole mystery murder kind of thing. So maybe the book is trying to tone and align with that a little bit more. But the fact that they're not sidelining Hal Jordan and John Stewart to front run Joe Mullen is phenomenal. I absolutely love Joe Mullen. Check out her Far Sector series. You can find her in the Future State stuff. She's fantastic. But there's no reason with something like Green Lantern to sideline fan favorites just so that we can get someone. Like, if you're going to do a Hal Jordan story, you don't have to sideline Joe and Guy. This should be an ensemble book, and that's what they're doing. That's what's like one of the draws of Green Lantern, is the core aspect, is the large cast aspect. But we did get some pages from the inside of this where we see Joe standing there along with other people in a green light glowing, looking up at the sky, and an object is falling down. And then the big reveal was the object is a massive Green Lantern symbol. Who knows if it's a ship, a power battery, what it is, but it lands slap in her city, causing massive destruction. I'm sure this is going to be a huge event that causes numerous deaths. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do from there, because that's all they really gave us. So maybe that'll be when she finds the source of her power. It'll be a whole thing. I don't know. But the next one, the last one from the Absolute announcements, is probably the biggest deviation we've seen out of everything, and that's Denise Camp's Martian Manhunter. Javier Rodriguez is drawing this one. We have no interiors. We just have character drawings and what I'm assuming might be a cover. It doesn't have the traditional Absolute style banner or anything to this, so I don't know. But looking at Martian Manhunter, that's absolutely crazy. It looks like Absolute Prism, but who knows? This is wild. We got a couple character shots from him. The face being a singled eye, having that flat saucer thing on it, and then seeing like the gorilla-esque arms, and then almost like a Bjorn Barron's kind of digital rendering down in the corner. It's wild. It looks like he could change colors, change shape, all those things. So this one's got my attention. Like, I'm super curious to find out more information on this. Then, of course, I'll keep you updated and I'll keep stuff coming as we get more, so you don't have to try to chase it all down. This is the spot you can come to keep up with all things Absolute and DC Comics for sure. But I'll tell you what, there was a huge winning over of the DC fan base. They corrected a lot of things recently with DC Comics. You know, you brought back some of the legends to write some of these books, like Scott Snyder. You brought back the DC Bullet logo, which like comic fans love that, man. They love that Bullet logo. And now they're bringing back another long lost artifact with DC Comics that never really should have gone away. And that's the DC Vertigo imprint. So this was their mature readers, kind of off-base characters. And this was like a massive success. And I don't know why they ever dropped it, but it kind of lived on well past its being canceled. It has like a whole cult following. It has massive stories that have held the test of time. Swamp Thing's been printed under Vertigo, Doom Patrol, Sandman, Hellblazer, aka Constantine, Y the Last Man, Fables. There's countless books that have stood the test of time. They're all under Vertigo, and now they're bringing it back. And the first book that'll be getting the Vertigo treatment is the current ongoing Nice House by the Sea by James Tynion IV. This is the second volume to his Nice House series, and we're up to issue 3 is already out on shelves. They're going to go back and rush to print issue 1 through 3 again and place the Vertigo imprint on it. So this is exactly what it'll look like. And they had some of these at New York Comic-Con, and they're out there already. But I'll be checking my LCS. I'm definitely going to upgrade my copies. I want that Vertigo label, and I'd be interested to see how many people watch this that are Vertigo fans already. And if you are, leave a comment. Let me know what your Vertigo go-to is. Now, a couple more things. We've got 2 more things I want to bring up. One, this wasn't necessarily an NYCC drop. This hit the solicitations like globally, but it is timed with NYCC. And I have to bring it up because I'm ecstatic. The King is back. Aquaman is getting his own ongoing series returning January 8th. I'm a huge Aquaman fan. I've been wondering why we haven't had Aquaman books for the longest time now. And not only are we getting Aquaman back, Jeremy freaking Adams and John Timms are taking on Aquaman. So this is about to be one of those books that even if you don't like Aquaman, if he's not your guy, if you think he's silly, and you give this book a curiosity read, you're going to end up enjoying it. Jeremy Adams is a writer who doesn't miss. He just understands these characters. He understands this medium. He understands what it feels like because he himself is a fan, and he brings his A game to everything. I got to give you fair warning. Don't miss this book. It's going to be a really good one. And following the events of Absolute Power, Arthur's power is a little wonky. So he has water manipulation capabilities, much like Mira has. So that's why he's got the hard water sword on the cover. Pumped for this. Absolutely pumped. And then a couple things I do want to show you. I am a huge toy collector. McFarlane unveiled the final Batmobile that we need from the movie line. We've done the 89. We've done the Batman Forever. We've done the Tumbler. We've done the 66. And now we're getting George Clooney's Batman and Robin Batmobile. That's not the greatest picture. It does have lights and sound effects, and it looks really cool. That's just one I could find. And also I want to point out he introduced a lot of lines like the Justice League Task Force Build-A-Figure based on the old video game, but we're also getting Power Girl and Guy Gardner, which are 2 characters that have been long awaited for, and there's just so much coming from McFarlane Toys. If you want to keep up with toy stuff, you're better off checking out my Instagram page or just kind of being on the lookout for my shorts and stuff. I do a lot of the toy content via those ways, but it was a massive year for DC Comics. They absolutely crushed it. It's hopefully they don't drop the ball. They have an opportunity here while people are hungry, while people are thirsty for good comic book content, not just in the books, but in the TV shows, in the movies. Penguin is absolutely crushing it right now. There's so much good stuff on the horizon. It seems like they're in a really good place right now. And if they just keep this momentum, they can really bring in a lot of new fans, and there'll be more people for us to share this hobby with. So leave me a comment down below. What was your favorite announcement from New York Comic-Con this year? What are you looking forward to? Be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that join button. Consider becoming a channel member. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.